From Cleveland, Ohio, from the fabulous Lava Room Recording Complex, my name is Jason Pettigrew. I'm the editor-in-chief of Alternative Press Magazine, and I am in the studio today with Never Shout Never. Gentlemen, how are you? From left to right. Now, we all know that Christopher Drew is Never Shout Never. Say hi, Chris.
Hello. How's it going?
That's Chris. However, he's flanked by two awesomely rocking dudes.
Dustin,
who's going to be on my left, your right, if you're listening to you on your computer, and Nathan, who is going to be on my right, but your left. Does that make sense, internet world? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Anyway, so Never Shout Never essentially started out as you, one-man operation. Yeah. You started writing songs when you started getting into music.
When I was about like 14.
14, you were writing songs and just learning to play and things like that.
I was just...
What are the things that motivated you to play? I mean,
I don't know. I had a couple friends that were a lot better than me, and I always wanted to be better than them. So, I mean, it was always just like, I'd go over to my friend's house and we'd show each other things that we wrote, or or certain little parts that we learned off songs and silly things like that. So.
Gotcha. What essentially were you rock? I mean, what do you do in Joplin? I mean, what's everybody listening to? What's everybody? I mean,
Joplin is like the music scene that there is. It's mostly just like a metal scene, which is cool. I'm totally down with that. It's kind of what I grew up with. I'm listening and going to shows for like metal music, and I was kind of like in metal bands my whole life until I started Never Shout Never, just because like everything else kind of fluked out. So I was just like picked up my acoustic and just started jamming on it. So
was it a case where you just tired of volume and? You know what I mean? All that trappings of all that stuff. What all that stuff signifies?
Not really. I mean, it was just like a change for me, and things started to pick up with it, and that was a big change for me. Like that something was actually doing something. Instead of just like playing local shows and stuff like that. So I just went with it.
And playing covers of AC/DC or whatever.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So as far as the scene as we know it. And other things that are happening in Joplin. Was there an underground that were there similar-minded folks that, you could play gigs with and stuff like that? Was there some sort of like a very tiny community of people doing stuff? Or?
Yeah, some of the older artists, they were playing just like indie, like folk rock, things like that. And I played a lot of shows with them growing up, like, and just like they taught me a lot and stuff. So, yeah, and I brought out one of the people that I've been playing with forever. He's playing guitar for me now. His name's Caleb. He's amazing. So, but he's been one of my influences like growing up. So, it's great.
What do you think the biggest lesson you learned from that time period when you were starting out? What's the biggest thing that kind of resonates with you to this day? Just
kind of like stay true to your roots, kind of, and don't like the world like take you away from where you were like grown up and like what you grew up like believing and things like that. So,
because there are all sorts of extra musical forces that somehow want to encroach on the creative process.
Totally.
I totally get it. Enough of my babbling. It's time for you to play a song. What are you going to play?
I'm going to play this song. It's unreleased. It's off the summer EP. It's just like an acoustic, like folky kind of song. It's called On the Brightside.
Sounds good.
It's about me meeting a couple men and them telling me about their lives. So
very nice.
Right on. Yeah, I'll go for it. I met a man of 2 feet tall. This man was quite ambitious in a world that is so vicious to us all. I said hi, as he replied. He said, listen to these words that I have lived by my whole life. You're only as tall as your heart will let you be, and you're only as small as the world will make you seem. And when the going gets rough and you feel like you may fall, just look on the bright side. You're roughly 6 feet tall. I met a man of 12 feet tall. He towered like a giant in a world that was defiant of his height. I said hi, as he replied. He said, listen to these words that I have dreaded my whole life. You're only as tall as your heart will let you be, and you're only as small as the world will make you seem. And when the going gets rough and you feel like you may fall, just look on the bright side. You're roughly 6 feet tall. I am a man of 6 feet tall. just looking for some answers in a world that answers none of them at all. I'll say hi, but not reply to the letters that you write, because I found some peace of mind. Cause I'm only as tall as my heart will let me be, and I'm only as small as the world will make me seem. And when the going gets rough and I feel like I may fall, I'll look on the bright side. I'm roughly 6 feet tall.
Very nice. And that's coming out in June.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very nice. Things are kind of happening.
Slowly.
Never shout, never. By the way, I have to ask this because I deal with words more than I deal with talking to microphones. How do you render the name Never Shout Never? Is there still exclamation points?
No. I'm changing it up a little bit. You know, like it's like whenever I first started it, you know, I was like 16, and I was like, you know, it was fun and silly, and it started out more like electro and, you know, not serious. And then as I got more involved and like as things started picking up, like I actually started writing songs that I felt really strongly about, you know. So, I mean, with that, the name changes, like now it's spaces in between. It's just Never Shout Never.
Okay,
so.
3 words, no exclamation points.
Yeah.
I bet that was fun during the Play Radio Play tour.
Oh, it was weird. Yeah, like we both had we were both exclamation point guys. It was weird.
No punk in punctuation. So it just seems that things are really, I mean, happening for you in a big way, really kind of fast, I think. And yet it's interesting that you're, what I've heard is that you've got a lot of, hey kid, we're gonna make a big star offers, and you're like, no thanks, dude. You're kind of really trying to keep as much control of it as possible.
Yeah, totally. Well, up until this point, I mean, it's been like I've had 100% like control over everything, you know, all the imagery over anything, and like that. With that, like if we go into a label deal, you know, like with that, like it needs to stay that way, you know, and like if I do sign, then it's gonna be like using the label as more of a tool than anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, because right now my staff is very limited, like my management staff and things like that.
Sure.
So, with the growth, like I think the growth of a staff needs to come as well, but we're just waiting for the right situation and the right like offer.
I think that's kind of interesting. Is like how many million MySpace plays total since you put tracks up there?
Yeah.
What, like something crazy? Like what was it? 40?
I have no idea.
It's like ultra millions or something like that. It's just amazing, which tells me that people are kind of, oh, I heard this guy, let's check it out, and they're actually, oh wow, all right, and they're like staying there and they're like totally immersed.
It's really cool. It's really nice.
Yeah, and somebody told me this story about you at South by Southwest. I guess you're going up 6th Street and you had your guitar with you or something. You had your case, and you're walking up 6th Street, and about like maybe 25 feet away, there was like 15 or 20 girls following you.
Oh no!
Like stalking. It wasn't like a giggling, tittering. They were all just like following.
I didn't even.
But
notice.
Not being obnoxious. You didn't notice this?
No, not at all.
Really? I mean, because like somebody told me there were people like actually pointing. Wasn't it pointing like someone like saying, "Why is that guy pointing at me? What the hell?" So you were like totally.
I was oblivious. I'm usually oblivious to the world anyway, so no worries.
That's not a bad thing, I guess, when you think about it.
I just write songs and hang out, so that's what I do.
I mean, is that the attitude that you have, essentially? I mean, the crux of what you do is just kind of...
I pretty much just chill out, you know, hang out, you know, off tour now, and it's great. Everything's super chill, and pretty much all I do with my spare time is just write songs and hang out with my friends.